I think for me, it's really to learn from the others. That's the first step, because when we are doing this research, we are in different countries, which means we are also encountering different culture. Even though we can learn the culture from the books or from the internet, but I think it's very precious when you interact with others to have a conversation, and then you learn from this person's. You can see the idea directly from the person, and that's something I think it's not that easy to do when you are not on site.
My original idea is to create like a fictional war museum. I mean, how in every society, how we think about war based on the past. And that is one thing we want to know, the history from Korea and like social movement, everything. But another thing for me is to have a distance to see how we create memory, and for example, like what we used to talk a lot and what we normally don't see through it. And so then the counter, so during the research, actually sometimes the counter thought get into my mind, so maybe we don't need a war museum at all. I still thinking about that, because for me a fixed like status or room or narrative, it represents a ideology or a value system. Or we should break the idea of the linear time, because if we say, for example, like if we say now we create a war museum through World War II, I think that it's a lot of burden. So from what we saw already, and I'm a little bit afraid that kind of burden, or maybe even subconscious, will limit our imagination or the way to see war. Because until now, so all the, I mean, when we think of war, actually it's very Hollywood. It's like the battlefield and bomb and the music is always like pa pa. But I think maybe it's a different way. But
And I think, especially while talking to Gia, it's a very poetic conversation for me, because she sometimes doesn't say things in a direct words. She uses many metaphors and many many ways to describe a situation or how she feels. So for me, that's very different from the other interviewers we met, that how she talks is like you are reading a book.
I feel our topic has two levels. One is very material. It's like symbol or material, like landscape, and but also maybe something you can see, like culture, urban life, things like that. But another side is deeply emotional, and that is so like isolation. I think isolation in our turn is more like some story haven't been told, or so you feel other people cannot really understand you or understand what you had experienced, the kind of isolation. And we want to try to make links between people, and even not just in Korea. I think that is Taiwan and Korea and Thailand, we want to find the link. We just fight when we beg here about this.
Because we have different concept about Asia, so we don't have an agreement at the moment. What does the Asia concept means?
My opinion is Asia or Asianness is a myth, which means not exist or not exist yet. So from the turn Asia, this turn is actually from Europe. They say so. So their east is Asia. So which means it's contradicted. So how we define ourselves is not by ourselves, it's by other people.
I understand what she say, but I don't totally agree with that because I can still see some similarities when I encounter with people from the other Asian countries. For example, the food, there's still like some commons in a way that how you cook and what the food you eat here, it's maybe similar from what we have in Taiwan and what they have in Thailand, for example. And also, like, I think the way of how we communicate, sometimes it's also similar. For example, the other example is that when people meet each other first, we always apologize, sometimes saying, oh, sorry, my English is bad. And that's a very universal Asian thing for me, that we always apologize for nothing. So for me, the concept of Asia exists in a way, but maybe sometimes in a more negative way. We don't really know what we are, or we don't know how to define Asia. But we while we saying we are not like this, we are not like that, we are Asians. Or Szu Ni mentioned it earlier during our research that if we keep talking about the hero's story, we will never really get the peace in a way, because we are telling how great these people do in the war or how strong they are in these conflicts. So if we really want to avoid war or find the peace in the future, maybe we should stop talking about more stories from the heroes.
And so we don't know how to do that, but it's really, we need discuss with a lot of people and try out, and even try out with audience, with Done. Yeah!